Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Smoking Simian podcast on this lovely Monday morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys enjoyed last week's episode. I'm doing something a little different with my guests. Hopefully, you guys will notice it. I wanted to make this episode last week, but because we were in the new studio, I figured I'd have to address that first. But today's episode is about DMX. Just going to throw it out there. Today is my tribute, my relationship, we'll say, with DMX. I never met him, but I've listened to him enough, and I've followed his career for the entirety of the time that I've been a fan, to a T. Like, I'm telling you, to a T. I've never done that with anybody. Like, don't get me wrong. I find a new artist. I want to know some things about them. I'll watch interviews. I like to see how they speak candidly, and I'll listen to all their music and all this stuff. But not like the way I did with DMX. Now, the reason why I wanted to bring this up, not only because he's such a huge influence in my life and my formative years and all this stuff, but the fact that it actually bothered me when he died. Now, those of you who know me, right? Those of you who know me personally, and maybe you can even tell just by listening to me on the show, I am an incredibly cynical, empty fucking box of emotionless nothing, right? That's what I am. I am just a vessel that you can never tell what's going on in my head. You can never tell what I'm thinking. You don't know how I feel until I actually display it to you. I'm not, I've built some sort of a wall, right, where I'm not going to feel an emotion until I absolutely have to. And then a lot of the times I don't have to. So it just gets taken the fuck off. So when people die, right, I've had family members die that didn't really feel that bad, right? Now that sounds terrible, right? But you got to hear me out. The way that I deal with grief, the way that I deal when somebody passes away, and now I'm talking about somebody close to me. When that happens, it doesn't hit me right off the rip. There's some people who are, whoa, my God, they died, and they're hysterical. You know what I'm saying? That's like my grandmother. That's how she is. I mean, she's an old woman, but there's plenty of other people who are like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's probably a healthy thing. But we all deal with grief differently because it's an inconsistent emotion. It's not something we deal with all the time. So when it happens, we're like, what the fuck? What do we do? So it's almost different every time. That being said, I'm not completely heartless, right? I have two cousins, like I said, that passed within probably 2 years or something, right? One of them, I met both of them. One of them I stayed at their house. One of them passed away from COVID. The other one, whom I stayed at their house, he took a heart attack. Tragic, awful. He has a wife and kids. So did the other woman. She had a daughter, if I'm correct. Again, goes to show how much of a scumbag I am. But those deaths didn't hit me in a way. And if I'm being honest, my grandfather, someone who was very, very close to me, someone who I loved and still love, and someone who I aspire to be like, when he passed away, it didn't hit me. It really didn't. Maybe because he was already old and he was sick and he had emphysema for years, and it was something that, we were just expecting, and it didn't really hit me until, for me, it hits me months later. And it's like, whoa, he's really gone. Never going to see him again. Cherish the time you were there. I miss him. Sometimes you have those days, that person that left us into the great beyond, you miss him. That's how typically how I've gone about grief and people passing away. Now that's people that I know, people that I've met, family, right? It takes time. When DMX passed away, when the the news was finally out, I actually felt genuinely sad. I felt genuinely upset. I felt like I had to post things. I felt like I had to listen to his music. I felt like I had to do all these things that I normally wouldn't. Like when Mac Miller died, I didn't, I'm a huge Mac Miller fan. Huge. I didn't post anything. I didn't say anything. I wasn't distraught. I was upset. Oh, Mac Miller died. He's awesome. Great music. Young kid. Died of drugs. Shitty circumstances. But it is what it is. I never knew him. His family will be all right. They got plenty of money from him. But when DMX passed, I actually felt like somebody in my family passed away. And that's probably a testament to how much of a fan I was, but it's also a testament to how his music resonated with people. How we as fans didn't even need new music from him. He hadn't released an album since 2012 or something? And it didn't, it wasn't huge. I think it maybe got number 2 on the hip hop charts, which is dope. But nothing. He wasn't at his height, and the album wasn't produced phenomenally, we'll say. So it's almost like we knew him, the true diehard fans, and I think that's how it is with every. If you're a fan of Mac, if you're that much of a fan of Mac Miller, I'm sure it hit you bad. But for me, it was DMX. And the fact that I was actually genuinely upset about a person that I had never met, saw him live, saw him in person, but someone I never met, never spoke to, but felt like I knew a lot about. That's what it was, I think. I felt like I knew a lot about him and the influence that he had on my life. And even just me here talking about this is weird because we're so far away from some of these people. We're closer than we think because there's that rule of 7, right? We're 7, relationships away from whoever we want in the world. But nonetheless, I don't know DMX. I don't know anybody around DMX. I don't know, there was no way that I was going to meet DMX anytime soon if he was still living. So the fact that he left so much of an impact on me that when he died, it was like, wow, I actually felt something. That to me is crazy because I just described to you that I am an icebox, right? I'm an emotionless icebox. I feel bad for the people that have to deal with me because they never know how I feel. But when DMX died, people knew how I felt. 100%. 100%. Unless I decide. And in that moment, I didn't even decide. Normally, the only time people can tell how I feel is when I decide. I say, hey, I'm feeling like shit. Or you can tell I'm physically upset. I didn't decide this time. It just happened. So this episode is going to be kind of a tribute and my relationship, my experiences with Earl Simmons, the Dark Man. So when I was a kid, I grew up in a household that denounced hip-hop music, denounced rap, right? They all thought it was killing people and fucking bitches and selling drugs and robbing cars. That's all my family didn't. They didn't understand where the music was coming from. They didn't understand that it was different than the music that they grew up on. The music I grew up on and the music that they pushed on to me was, on my dad's side, classic rock. My dad grew up in the 70s, so we listened to Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Eric Clapton, Rolling Stones. That's what we're listening to. As a kid, that's what's on in the car. That's what's playing in the house. When my dad's doing work or something in the garage, that's what's fucking playing, right? And I loved it, and that's what I listened to, and I followed in their footsteps. Fuck rap music, I don't listen to that shit. And my mom was very much, disco era, Casey and the Sunshine Band, Bee Gees. She loves Elton John, Tom Jones, all those fucking things. So I grew up around genres of music that aren't very close to hip hop, especially in the subject matter. Especially in the subject matter and where the music is coming from, essentially. So my family always denounced it, right? But my sister, she grew up in a different place, right? She grew up in, for those of you who aren't local, she grew up in Fall River, Massachusetts, which isn't completely impoverished. It's not the worst place you can be, because there are nice parts of Fall River. But it's the hood, we can be honest. A lot of it is the hood, and that's where she grew up. So she got influenced, because we're half siblings. She got influenced differently, right? So she got influenced by her environment to listen to hip-hop music, to be engulfed in the culture. I got influenced by my environment to denounce hip-hop music. Granted, when I was a kid, I grew up in a decently urban place. Not crazy, but it was urban. It wasn't the suburbs, right? I mean, it was a neighborhood, right? It was a little neighborhood, suburbs, I guess, but it wasn't like the burbs. You know what I'm saying? Like the suburbs. No, where we moved after I was 12, right? From what I lived there till last year, 12 to 22 or 21 or whatever. That was the suburbs. That was, to me, wannabe white people. Oh no, I'm sorry, white people wannabes, because we're so close to the Providence line. A lot of the kids thought they were more urban than they were, and I was kind of right. That's pretty much what it was. But when we moved there, I still was influenced by hip hop, rock music. That's all I listened to. Denounced hip hop ever since I was a kid. Actually, you know what? I'm lying to you. I didn't always denounce hip hop. My first real introduction to rap music was when I was a kid. And I had a little MP3 player. It was a Walkman. It was a little circular fucking thing. And we used to have to use LimeWire. Remember LimeWire? The good old days, huh? When you can get free music. Illegally. At that. You can still do that, but it was way cooler when you had a site, right? Way harder to keep secret, though. But yeah, we had to do the LimeWire, and I was putting music down, and my sister's like, you got to have some hip-hop on it. Put some Biggie, some Ja Rule. At the time, Ja Rule was popping. So I had some of that, right? And I remember being like a little 8 or 9-year-old kid, and Suicidal Thoughts by Biggie comes on my Walkman, and I didn't even know it was on there. And it's just, you know how it starts, right? The phone ringing and Puffy's waking up all slow. When I die, fuck it, I wanna go to hell. 'Cause I'm a piece of shit, it ain't hard to fucking tell. It don't make sense going to heaven with the goodies dressed in white. I like black Tims and black hoodies. God'll probably have me on some real strict shit. No sleeping all day, no getting my dick licked. As a kid, bro, I was in fucking elementary school. I went to a Catholic school. I was scared to death. There's a guy in my headphones talking about going to hell and killing himself and wanting to get his dick sucked because God won't let him do it. Like, holy fuck. Holy shit. It scared the fuck out of me, and it pushed me even further away from hip-hop music. But when I got into high school and I really started to turn that leaf and become even more of a black sheep, because I was always a little different, but I was always influenced. Obviously, we're kids. We're influenced by our family and the things we see. So I was in the reverse, or in the inverse, I should say. I allowed the influence that I had to direct me in a different direction. And that made me want to look into hip-hop. Like, why have I neglected this music? I want to give it a try. And plus, everybody else, a part of it was also because I was in high school and wanted to mesh with people. That's something I admire about my brother, is that he doesn't give a fuck about that. He's in high school. He still listens to, the Beatles and Def Leppard and all that stuff, which is great. I'd listen to that shit too. But I got influenced as a kid. And I wanted to listen to some hip-hop. But I wasn't a fan of the new stuff. I was just under the impression that all the classics were better, just like with rock music. I didn't really listen to, much contemporary rock. I always listen to classic rock because it's better, just by default, right? That's what you're told. The older stuff is always better, right? So I started doing a deep dive on some hip hop, right? I already had some Eminem background because that was the one artist that my family was like, all right, he's white, right? It's fucked up, but that's what it is. Sorry. I don't resonate with that. And I'm not saying that my family are some racists or anything like that, but it's a culture thing, I would suppose. I don't know. Maybe I'm going down. I digress. Let's just end that conversation there. But, I already had a little Eminem, and I had, now it was like, okay, who are some of the guys that I should listen to? Tupac and Biggie. We revisit Biggie. Now I love it, right? Holy fuck, this guy. And now I'm a teenager. I'm angsty, right? I hate life. I hate the world around me, for the most part. Saying that like it's, any consolation. For the most part, I hated everyone around me and myself. But, so I'm listening to Biggie and Tupac, and you hear the struggle. You hear where the music's coming from. That was my introduction. That's what made me fall in love with hip hop and rap. Because, yes, I didn't come from the environment that they came from. I never sold drugs. I never gang banged. But there were plenty of similar emotions that we feel as humans. And now we have guys that are making songs about them. You mean to tell me that Tupac went through heartbreak? Really? Shit. So did I. Biggie wants to kill himself? Biggie goes through depression and suicidal thoughts and other... Really? So do I. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was able to resonate with the music. I was able to see where they were coming from. Plus, I just love that it was new and some of it was aggressive and some of it wasn't. And I love the subject matter. I love the stories. So I just fell in love with hip hop. And now I'm deep diving into it. And you can ask my friends, they're like, bro, you changed on a dime. Like, all of a sudden you knew everything there was to know about hip hop. And they were right. I jumped in. Like I said, obsessive aggression, obsessive compulsive, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't care. That's what I am. So, I'm doing the hip hop. Yeah, I'm jumping into rap, and I have a select group of artists that I'm kind of listening to. And someone brings up to me, I remember me and Evan were in the library because when you're in high school in North Providence, there's nothing to fucking do. So after school, you go to the library and you piss off the librarians. That's what we used to do. We used to fuck with this guy. He used to wear his pants real high, and he's bald, and we'd call him Mr. Pants, and we'd be all loud, and he'd walk off, and one of us would pull our pants up real high and walk behind him like dickheads, right? That's what you do when you're in high school. You're a prick. Because now I go to that library, and I talk to that guy, and he's great. But when you're a kid, you're a fucking dickhead. So one day we were in there, and I was looking at books or something, and me and Evan were, causing a ruckus. And there was a biography about DMX. And he's on the front cover with, like, glasses and, whatever else. And I don't know why it matters, but either way, he's on the front cover, and he's like, bro, you ever listen to this guy's music? And I'm like, no. And he's like, you got to hear it. It's sarcastically, it's real nice. Like, knowing that DMX is known for screaming and hollering and barking and talking about killing people and vulgar stuff and whatever, and using words that I can't use very often. But I was like, oh, yeah, whatever, I'll check him out. And the first song I checked out by him was Slippin'. And I didn't like it. I was like, this dude, I wasn't really listening either, right? I wasn't really listening. But I was listening to the chorus. I'm like, why does this guy sound like this? This doesn't sound good. I was living, I'm falling, I can't get up. There's no melody. Again, I'm brand new to hip hop. Give me 1 second. I gotta throw my charger on. Whoopsie daisy. Technical difficulties. Yeah, so I'm new to hip hop, so I don't understand. Again, I've listened to Biggie and Tupac, and they say certain things about certain stuff, but then, I listen to Slippin', and I'm like, there's no melody to this. I don't really love it. Whatever. I wasn't listening to what he was saying. Little did I know, so many years later, I'd get his opening words tatted on my ribs. But nonetheless, I digress. See, now I'm spitting bars. But my first introduction was, whatever. I don't really care about him. It's okay at best. And then a shift happened, and I don't know what caused it, but I think I started listening to some other stuff. It was a mix between me being an angsty fucking kid who was upset at the world, realizing some of the trauma he went through as a child, realizing certain things and wanting to change them, but not understanding how yet. Wanting to reverse how I think about things, but not really understanding how to do it yet. So frustration mixed with being a teenager, right? The pressures of being a teenager in high school and all that stuff, which are true, by the way, and shouldn't be undermined. But something happened, and I started listening to some of his other stuff. It may have started with Rough Riders Anthem. I would think it's probably Rough Riders Anthem, because I was like, this guy's energy is wild. Just listen to that. Like, listening to that. Stop, drop, shut him down, open up. I was like, what the And then you look at the video, and it's just, he's fucking with a bunch of other yoked dudes and mad people on motorcycles, and you're like, God damn, this dude's coming for something. And this is ages after his reign. Like, I'm in high school in 2012 or 2013 or something, and there's just it's years after he had done his thing, and his height was there. But I just absolutely fall in love with it. I fall in love with everything. Every piece of music that this guy made, I fell in love with. And then I started to really, really listen to it, like really with intent, right? I listened to it with intent. Sometimes you listen to a song, you're like, ooh, this is good, but you're not really listening. So I started to really listen to the words, really listen to what he was saying, and then from there it was just in my headphones, day in and day out. I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm mad, I'm excited. DMX is playing. I don't give a fuck. That's it. Just his bars, like just his ruthless attacks, right? Sometimes he just would come on the mic and, oh God, Jesus, what's this song? With him, Locks, a word I can't say done started something, right? And he just comes into that. What's he say? He goes, oh man, I'm drawing an absolute blank, but he says, you come what you came for, surgery with the chainsaw, and then I hit the fucking streets cause I'm nothing going down until I eat. Motherfuckers think it's all about impressing bitches and stressing bitches, and I'm pissing bitches' name, addressing bitches and caressing bitches. You're like, oh my God. Who gonna tell your mother her baby's under recover in the morgue, stiff as a log, sniffed out by the dogs, another hard-headed that wouldn't listen, so you got what you came for. Oh my God, bro. Then you listen to his old stuff, and it's even, like, not worse, but grimier, you know what I'm saying? I'm a grimy, so I like my bitches cruddy, my clothes dirty, dick shitty, and my knife bloody. I done too much dirt to turn back now. I'm the reason my little sister's smoking crack now. Like, what, bro? Holy shit. So he captivated me. He got me with the wildness, with the wild lyrics. He got me with that. And the grimy, dirty, because that's how I felt. I felt like I was like just grimier than everybody. Like I was just this guy that didn't give a fuck about anything. That's how I felt. I didn't give a fuck about anything. You know what I'm saying? Just whatever. I'm trying to figure something out here and I don't know what it is. And in the process, I'm becoming a very upset person. And this guy is here. This guy is a famous, like, one of the best hip-hop artists of all time. I didn't know that at the time. But one of the best hip-hop artists of all time, one of the best artists I've ever listened to. And he's here saying things that are hitting me somehow. Like, I've never killed a person. I've never been in a street fight, never robbed anybody, never put a dog on anybody. Like, but for whatever reason, this guy's just got me by the fucking, he's got me by the balls. You know what I'm saying? Don't say that too often, God, especially when, that pronoun, he's got me by the balls. But I digress. That's what got me, right? Was his energy, his style, the beats, the aesthetic, really, is what drew me to DMX. What made me a mega fan was his poetry, was his writing, was his concepts. You don't know what you asking for, yet you ask for more. Shut the casket door. You know what I'm saying? Like, Let Me Fly. And then I revisited Slippin'. And it's like, damn, this guy is talking about things that are going on in his head. Things that when he was a kid, I've been through mad different phases like mazes to find my way. And now I know the happy days are not far away. If I'm strong enough, I'll live long enough to see my kids doing something more constructive with their time than bids. I know, because I've been there. Now I'm in there. Sit back and look at what it took for me to get there. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's talking about when he was a kid, and then he goes, first came the bullshit, the drama with my mama. She got on some fly shit, so I split and said that I'ma be that seed that doesn't need much to succeed. That's how I felt as a fucking kid. Again, my family, very different from his family. My mother didn't abandon me. My father didn't abandon me. But I felt a certain kind of way. Like, hey, I don't need my family to agree with everything I'm doing. I'm going to get it my way. You know what I'm saying? So just the words and the messages that he was saying, he was human. He was showing me what it was like to be a fucking human as a kid, right? Because all the humans you grew up around as a kid, they're that thing. They're whatever they are, right? This is my dad. This is my mom. I don't expect them to be anything less, anything more. They're not even people when you're a kid. Your parents can't be in bad moods and you be like, oh, that's understandable. That's just a person. You know what I'm saying? They're in a bad mood. Or outside of that, right? A teacher is just a fucking teacher. You don't think that they go and, get boozed up on the weekends and suck cock. You know what I'm saying? You don't think they do that, but they do. You see it when you get older, right? All these different things. Just any other figure that you've seen. The guy that gives my dad his coffee in the morning at Dunkin' Donuts. That's all that guy does, right? As a kid, you don't understand that. And maybe even at the age I was in high school, maybe I didn't understand it still. I didn't understand what it meant to be a human, that you go through certain emotions and we feel certain ways about different things, and we have to navigate our way through life. And DMX and his music showed me that. It brought it to light for me, which is why he was it's almost like I had a mentor. It's strange. It is very strange because I never met him, but it was almost like I had a fucking mentor. It was almost like every time I put my headphones in, this guy is going to tell me something new about life. He's going to tell me something new about how I can act a certain way, or I'm dealing with this too. Just stay strong. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was that to me was what made DMX such a huge figure in my life. We're all influenced by things that we don't know or people that we don't know. Starts when we were a kid, right? I want to be Batman, or I want to be Spider-Man, or I want to be this guy on TV, or look at that person, that's cool. We all get influenced by that. Especially when you're a child. It's much easier to influence a kid in high school or younger than that, right? Than it is an adult who's stuck in their ways. So it was like a perfect storm for me. It was a perfect storm. I was going through a lot as a kid, mental health-wise. Didn't know how to deal with it. And a lot of the time, it was me locked in my bedroom with DMX playing. That's it. Doing whatever else I had to do that day. But DMX is fucking playing. He's playing. We would drive around bumping fucking DMX songs. And I'm not talking about Party Up and What These Bitches Want and you know, I'm talking about like deep DM. We're listening to Damien. We're going to buy weed and we're listening to Damien. You know what I'm saying? His conversation with the devil. You follow me? That's what we're listening to. We're listening to, you know, Make a Move, The Professional. You feel me? We're listening to some heavy duty stuff. Let Me Fly. I Can Feel It. One of my favorite ones. I Can Feel It is it's got to be one of my favorite DMX. I think my favorite one's probably Slippin' because I got the words tatted on me. But just his whole aesthetic, everything about him, it influenced me very much so. And it still does. It still does influence me. Because to see a guy like that, now we have pictures. We have pictures all on social media and videos and all this stuff. And when I was a kid, when I first used to get in, when I was first, you know, watching the DMX stuff, I was like, wow, this guy seems like he's always upset. But now that he's passed away and there's all these things that are going around, there's pictures and there's videos and all this stuff, you're like, damn, this was like, he was a legit guy. He was a decent person, you know? There's the pictures of him sweeping floors in places and mopping floors and making omelets in the back of IHOPs and shit like that. Like, just a free person who was so free that he was able to make records that sold millions and millions of copies, just talking about struggle, just talking about how he felt and his life and what he was dealing with. And the reason why it sold millions and millions of records and created incredibly loyal fans is because he really personified what it meant to be a human. And he was living in front of us. DMX was living in front of us. It's not like the artists, it's not like most artists, right? They're an artist and all we see is the art. All we see is the persona, right? Or we don't see them at all. That's like the new thing, right? It's either you're out there and you're Ariana Grande, right? The only time we see her is when she's popping, right? Or Drake, another one. The only time we see them, DaBaby, Lil Baby. Well, maybe not DaBaby because he raps about some real shit too. His dad passing, his son committing suicide, or his brother. And these guys write about real shit, but a lot of the times we see them in a different light. We see them as these superstars. We see them on the red carpet. Or you have the influential artists who are not seen. J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar. These guys, when they release their albums, it's like it's a movement. It's an eruption. Because sometimes they're telling stories about themselves, but sometimes they're commentating on what's going on, which is great, right? I have no problem with either of those sides. But we don't get to see an artist live in front of us as much as DMX did, I think. You know, right down to subject matter, right down to, you know, the interviews that he has, speaking about himself, speaking about his morals and his loyalties and all these things. To me, you can really see how much of a human he was. Now again, this is me before you guys jump down my throat and say, you didn't know DMX, you didn't fucking know him. I don't want to hear this bullshit no more. You're bullshitting us. We don't want to. All right, whatever. I don't give a fuck. This is just me from a distance, from where I was able to enjoy him from. And I think he'll be missed. He was an icon. And I know I'm not the only one that he influenced, obviously, influenced millions and millions of people. Huge icon and my favorite artist of all time, hip hop or not. If I had to, you know, put them in order, I'd have to come up with some kind of hierarchy or rating system. I don't think there's any other artist that I know or that I listen to that I know at least 60% of the lyrics, 60 plus percent of the lyrics to all of their songs. Like you can turn a DMX song on and I'll be like, all right, give me a second. And then I'll hop right into it and I'll know it. There's no other artist that I've watched every interview of that I can find. There's no other artist that has had an impact on my life the way that DMX did. So, as weird as it is for me, it might not be as weird for some of you people listening, but again, this show is a tribute to DMX, his legacy. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys invest in some DMX if you haven't listened to him yet, because nobody's writing poetry like that man did. I saw an interview with him where he's like, yes, my lyrics are poetry because the more you listen to him, the more you get out of them. And I was like, yeah, that's true. Every time I listen to it, you hear something. It's just like a film. It's just like a really good film. You're like, wow, I watched this the first time. I saw something new the second time, something new the third time, you see something new. That's how you know it's a good film. You listen to a DMX song, you listen to any song, and you're like, oh, I didn't hear that the first time. Or I didn't notice that the last time or whatever. That's true art. And that's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about how I had that weird grief moment for somebody that I've never met. And it just goes to show how much of an impact he had on my life. So thank you all so much for listening on this Monday. I hope this wasn't somber as much as my voice kind of sounds. I hope you guys like this. R.I.P. No. I want you guys to have a great rest of your week. You guys make the right choice every week. Every week that you decide to start your week with me and the Smoking Simian, you're doing the right fucking thing. You got no problems. You understand me? Again, thank you guys. Make sure you share, like, comment, subscribe, follow, all that shit wherever you listen. Tell people about us. And follow me. All the links are in the fucking description. All right? Thank you guys. Talk to you on Thursday. Peace.